Welcome to Lancashire Business Stories, the podcast that does exactly what it says on the tin. I'm your host, Paul Lim, and every week we're joined by local business owners to talk about their journey into business and how they've grown and scaled their own organisations. We'll talk about some of the challenges they've faced along the way and the successes that they've had in growing their businesses, so you, our listeners and viewers, can learn and apply those same principles into your own business, so you can grow and succeed. If this is the first time that you've watched or listened to the podcast, please hit the subscribe or follow button. Hope you enjoyed the show. Let's get to it. Anita Boardman, welcome to Lancashire Business Stories.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. As per usual on the podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about your background, first of all, and how you got from leaving college or uni and into law and your progression in terms of your career.
Okay.
We'll talk about AFG, and then I'm sure there'll be some sort of various bits and pieces come up during that conversation about some of the challenges and some of the successes and where your focus is. So let's start off talking about you, shall we?
Yes.
So have you always been into law? Was it always your career aspiration?
No, at school I didn't do very well. I was just your average person for O levels. I left school, wasn't given the opportunity to go to uni or college, wasn't the done thing then, so had to get a YTS, which is the equivalent of an apprenticeship now, and it was in an electrical company, of all places.
Doing what?
Just a typist, yeah, just a typist.
Never say just a typist.
I know,
it's a really important role.
I tell people off for saying that as well. I'm glad you corrected me. And a job came up as a junior, and they class them as juniors then. You're not allowed to call them that anymore, at a firm in Lee. And I thought, oh my word, solicitor's office. This is going to be really good.
Yeah.
And got the job. It was literally, my job role was delivering letters in the morning to all the local solicitors, estate agents, banks, getting to know people because you got to know the same people.
Yeah.
All the solicitors, juniors would meet in the morning and we'd have a conflab and then you'd make friends that way. And I very quickly jumped up the ladder at that firm from being a junior to a typist to a secretary, to then moving to Culcheth, working for a partner there. And I saw in the Bolton News an advert for a junior legal secretary at AFG Law.
When would that have been?
That was 1990. My dad was a very keen Bolton Wanderers supporter, hence why I got the Bolton News.
Yeah.
So I applied for it, and my interview was at 5:00, which I thought was a bit disturbing, but anyway. And it was with Michael Morgan, who was a brilliant mentor, and I think I only got it, and he will admit this now, because I look like his daughter.
Oh.
So I got the job and very quickly could see he saw something in me. So he encouraged me to do my A-level law, and I got a disastrous D.
Oh dear.
But it was definitely a pass.
Yeah.
But I saw, as I was looking around the firm, I could see lawyers being lawyers, and I thought, I could do that. I could be better than that.
Yeah.
And I asked them to support me. And they saw also that I was very good at talking to people. And they'd never seen that in a young person before. So they got me in front of estate agents, which they'd never done before. Went out for lunch. It was not the done thing in the early 1990s. And I just did all my exams. It took me 13 years to qualify. Had a child. I got married. And then I did ask them to support me my final year on my LPC to go to Chester Law School full time, of which they did. Again, they were really good with me. Let me go for 12 months. I became a student full time. It was a really good opportunity. The only downside of coming back into the industry after being off for 12 months is your confidence goes. Because you're a student, you come back into the workplace, people have moved on in your firm as well, that you thought were your friends, and they've moved above you, and you thought, I don't like this. And very quickly I made partnership. I did knock on the door quite a few times. Quite a few times. And I knocked on the door a few times to actually buy in as well.
Yeah.
And I did say at that point to myself, that's not going to happen to other people. I want it to be given to them and them have an actual set sort of route of when they start and where they finish.
Yeah, because just with law firms, for people who don't understand what they mean by buying in, with traditional partnerships, you have to buy in to be a partner, don't you? So you're basically buying someone. Is it pretty much dead man's shoes? As people retire, you
Back
can
in the
buy
day, it
in
was.
a partner?
There was... at the point when we were salaried partners, I didn't have to buy in at that point.
Yeah.
And then we changed from a partnership to a limited company. This was literally just before my time because it was more tax efficient, and it also allowed other people to become part of the business where they couldn't be in a traditional partnership. So we've got legal execs that are directors where we couldn't have done that in a traditional partnership. So that was the advantage. And it was only, I think, I can't remember the year now, when I bought in, 2015, when I had to actually buy my shares.
Right. Okay, so how many shareholders are there within AFG now?
At the moment, there's 4.
Okay.
Yes, there's 4.
And are all those equal?
No.
Or you have
No.
some?
We had, there was 6 at one point. We had 3 a very minority shareholder and then 3 majority shareholders. Right. It's a bit of both now.
Yeah. So are there any other advantages, apart from obviously the tax implications that you mentioned, no tax advice here, in terms of having a limited company for a legal firm rather than having the traditional partnership?
Purely where I said before that we've got, say, a licensed conveyancer and a legal exec, as far as I'm aware, they can't become a partner within a traditional partnership, but they can in a limited company. Yeah. As long as they've got that law expertise and that qualification.
And I've talked to others who are still working within a partnership sort of situation, no names, no pack drills. But I think if you get somebody who's buying into a partnership where you've got a set of partners who maybe have been there for a long while, who are getting, not at the end of their careers, but are getting towards the end, and they've always done it a certain way, and you get a junior partner who then buys in because they're quite enthusiastic and they want to move on. There's the potential to be some resistance because you get somebody who's really enthusiastic, who wants to change things, who wants to move forward, and you get older, more maybe traditionalists who've always done it one way, so why should they change? Do you see that as an issue with other partnerships? Because I know there's been a lot of change in the law sector over the last few years, hasn't there?
Yeah, I don't see how it works in other law firms because you do keep things to yourself to a degree. So I couldn't really comment on that, but we've always been forward thinking. Yes, we've had the older generation when I bought in, but they were very open to my ideas, Greg's ideas, so it made it a lot easier. And because of that, our doors are open. Yeah. So it makes it easier for the younger ones as well.
Right. So you became a partner when?
I'm going to say 2005, 2006.
Okay. And how long before you then became
another 10 years?
MD?
Oh, MD, 2016, so 10 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And you became a joint MD at that point with Greg?
Yes.
What was the thinking behind that rather than having just one leader, having 2 managing directors?
It was a partnership overall before we were a limited company. Yeah. They were all making decisions, but not making decisions, and you need a leader. So our predecessor was very good, but she also taught us that it's too much for one person mentally, as well as actual doing the job. You need that bounce off. So it was her suggestion, and both of us wanted it anyway, and it made sense. Yeah. And we've worked together for so long. Yeah. It just works. It works. Obviously, he has his ups, as his not skill set. I have my skill set, yin and yang, but it works. We
so
bounce
do you,
off one
do you
another.
and Greg split responsibilities in terms of...
No, it's together.
Or it's just all together?
Yeah, we do the management together. We have management days on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Yeah. Sometimes it's just a discussion. We'll catch up, we'll talk about what's going on in the world, talk about here, and then it sparks ideas, and then something comes out of it. Then we'll take it to the directors. It just works.
What happens if you don't agree on something?
We haven't not.
I can't believe that
Honestly,
in 10 years you've never disagreed about something.
Oh, we've had arguments. Yeah, we've had arguments, but not over the business, would you believe? Yeah, yes, no. No, I can't think of a Any time that we've not agreed on something, that's why
amazing.
it works so well. It works so well.
So you've got do you have a senior leadership team? Do you have a board? What's your management structure below you and Greg?
So it's the directors, basically. So it's the 5 of us.
Okay. Yeah. And if you and Greg agree on something and the board and the rest of the directors say, we don't think that's a good idea, what happens then?
Again, it's not... We've usually got to the point where it's been agreed. If it's not, we don't do it. Right. But it's not very often, because they can see that what we're trying to do is for the better of the firm.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of something where it's not been agreed. No. Yeah.
So you've got 4 or 5 people who are shareholders in the business.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about shareholder agreement. So this is something not particularly for you and your business, but in general terms, one of the things that I am constantly banging on to our clients about is having effective shareholder agreements in place.
Yes.
Even with family businesses where you've got, I've had the business where I've had a couple of brothers and they said, oh, we'll never fall out. We're brothers. We've been together forever. We always have each other's backs.
Oh, no, I've seen
and
it.
other families where I've seen another business that's completely collapsed because of a challenge within the family structure in the past. Talk to me about shareholder agreements and the importance of shareholder agreements in business.
So before we were a director, a limited company, there was a partnership agreement, of which I did see. And I was quite impressed by it, actually, because I thought for such a small firm, I was surprised that we had one. And obviously, I'm glad we did. And then when we changed to a limited company, and when we set the minority shareholders to the majority shareholders, we set the shareholders agreement up of what decisions could be made unanimously, majority, and it's all set out. Yeah. If someone leaves, bad leaver, you just want to leave, it's all set. It's set out there in plain English.
Yeah. I think it's an insurance document more than anything, isn't it? Just to cover every risk that you hope will never happen.
Yes.
But it's there just in case, because you just never know in business, do you?
That's right.
Anybody who hasn't got one, get one.
Yes, you should.
Get a good one. Get advice on it as well.
Yeah.
Get advice. Don't use
AI.
Don't just take a template off the internet, as I've seen 1 or 2 people do in the past.
That's right. We took advice.
Yes.
Because we're lawyers and we're invested in the business. You need to step away from that.
Yeah.
And you need someone to advise you on it. Yeah. So we had separate advice as well.
Okay. So I would assume that if, God forbid, either you or Greg or one of the other shareholders wanted to leave the business for whatever reason, the existing team would get first call on the shares.
It's all documented.
You couldn't sell them to somebody outside of the business.
No. Like my daughter, no.
And we've seen that happen as well. We've had somebody, unfortunately, who's passed away, and their shares, through their will, reverted to their family members who had no interest in the business.
Exactly.
But then decided, oh, yeah, I'd like to get involved in this. I can come and sit in the board meetings, and much to the annoyance of everybody else. And, it was detrimental to the business overall. So let's talk about AFG then. When you joined them in...
1990.
1990.
36 years ago.
36 years ago, yeah. When you were 12, obviously.
Yeah.
How many people did they have then?
Not many, actually. I would have said about 30.
Right.
30.
Still a reasonable sized business.
Yeah. We were only based in Maudsley Street.
Yeah, in Bolton.
Bolton. We did have both sides of Maudsley Street at that point.
Yeah.
And of course, when the recession hit, we closed one of them and we all moved into the big building. And very quickly, obviously, recession. We came out of recession, we grew again, and we opened Bury in 2013.
And was that buying another business, or are you just opening a new office?
We opened a new office.
So you've just got the two, because you've moved, haven't you, from Maudsley Street now?
Yeah, when we were in Maudsley Street, we outgrew that as well. Wanted to stay in Bolton, so we moved our conveyancing team over to Cannon Court. And again, we outgrew that. So we were looking at other premises. COVID happened. And that made everybody think about workspace.
Yeah.
So we realised we didn't need as much desk space. This opportunity came up. Well, to be fair, me and Greg have been looking for a while to get us under one roof.
Yeah.
Nothing's been suitable, I would say, until this came up at Regent House.
Yeah.
And even then, we just made it work, and we made the hot desk. So you book a desk on an app in both offices. And no one has a room. Like I've been privy to a room all my working career till I went there. So it's a real culture shock. But it's good for training.
Yeah.
It's good for Anita tapping. But it's good, and you can hear things. You can intercept conversations. You can, in a nice way, intercept. It's just a nicer environment.
Yeah.
You're not this person in an ivory tower. You're an equal.
I think there are pros and cons to having an open workspace.
Yeah, there is.
And I've been in that situation with a former business where I was MD and co-owner of a business, and we moved from exactly that, from having separate offices. I was in a separate office with some meeting space, and the rest of the team were in another office, to one big open plan office. Now, that's great because you're instantly available for people. Even that can have its downfalls, because sometimes you want people to develop and make decisions rather than be coming to you all the time. So you want people to have that autonomy. And the other side of the coin is you tend to listen into more conversations than maybe you should.
Of course.
Because there's a danger of micromanagement there as well. And I've had situations where I was on a phone call, finished the phone call, and I kept the phone to my ear and was listening to somebody else talking on the sales desk. And then I put my phone down and walked over and gave some less than constructive feedback at the time when I was learning to be a better manager, and it was awful. And so I think sometimes it's open door policy, whether it's an open door to an office or whether it's just you sat there, can be detrimental to the growth of a person within a business.
Yeah, I get that. But Greg and I have an office on a Thursday that's just dedicated for us. So we have an office, and that's where our sort of business management meetings take place.
So is that a meeting room?
It's a meeting room.
Can be booked
and we
out
have
by
got
different people?
4 meeting rooms because obviously we see clients.
Yeah.
They're booked on the app as well. And of course we go over to Bury, and that is a little bit like the old Maudsley Street. So we have meeting rooms there as well.
Yeah. And obviously people can work from anywhere nowadays. So do you have a policy of working from home, or do they have to be in the office certain days, or how does all that work?
We are very flexible. The fee earners, there's a lot of trust.
Yeah.
There has to be. The fee earners themselves need to be in a quiet environment. So the example you gave earlier, that's no good for certain concentrating, drafting, preparing. So they do work at home 2 days a week, in the office 3 days a week, because again, there's training, there's all sorts of things going on. I've never been a lover of being at home being at home. I've always wanted to be in the office. It's just the way I am. There's a bit of both. For young people coming in, we expect them to be in the office full time, purely because of the actual training side of things, and they ask so many questions. When they're doing their actual skills apprenticeship work, that's when it's at home. Yeah. But on the job, they're in the office full time.
I think we talked about people coming tapping you on your shoulder and asking questions, but I think there is a lot of learning that gets done in a community sort of environment where everybody's in. They used to call them the water cooler moments, didn't they, where people would come across and talk to somebody. Yes. And whether it's the photocopier moments, the water cooler moments, or whether you just sat next to somebody and you can bounce off somebody who you sat next to, there's huge amounts of learning that goes on in that kind of environment. And I think sometimes we lose that when people are working from home. As much as we've got Teams and Zoom and all those things, I think actually being in an office environment with somebody can have a massive impact on growth and on mental health as well. Community is so important to people.
Yes, we've found that with people. We've given people the option who can work at home, that have the ability to work at home, and they've only taken it up 1 day a week. Yeah. They prefer to be in the office.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely right. I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, why didn't you carry on working from home? Because we were in an office prior to COVID. We moved out during COVID, and Sean and I both worked from home, and we were talking to each other 2, 3, 4 times a day normally. But I started getting cabin fever, sort of working from home. I got to the stage where I'd go out in the morning, go for a walk and walk to work and walk back in through the front door and up to my office. But I was on Zoom all day talking to clients, you get square eyes, and it was just... in the end, moving into this environment that we've got here now has been an absolute godsend for me in particular. Just because we've got community around us now, and we've got people we can go and talk to. So I think it's so important.
The other thing I also liked about or do like about coming into the office, my thinking time is in the car. The journey into the office and then the journey home, reflecting on the day, what I need to do, could I have done that better? It's so important to have that time to yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I listen to podcasts on the way in and on the way home, so I do a bit of learning while I'm driving, and I think that's important. So, and you mentioned sort of distractions and people wanting to work from home to avoid distractions, but you can get that at home if you're in a family environment. You've got dogs and children and spouses and whatever else going on. So working from home can be more distracting and less productive sometimes than working in an office environment. I think it's horses for courses. You've got to choose what works best for you and for the business. But I agree with you, having younger children, younger adults working in your environment who are just starting off and learning. I think it's important.
Skill sets such as the telephone manner, how to deal with clients. You can't do that at home on Teams. You can't teach it. They've got to listen. And then they've got to know the actual working, the skill set of the job itself in order to then portray that to a client and sell our services as well. You can't teach that at home.
No, you can't. So how many people have you got now?
So we've gone through a restructure just recently, whereby we are offering just private client work. We used to have a legal aid department. So we've gone from 90 to about 65 again, purely because we've scaled back, restructure, and then grow again, but in a different direction.
Yeah. So what are the services that AFG now offer?
We now offer,
the outside world?
We've got a huge conveyancing team. The reputation that they have is phenomenal. When you just look at the results that they get in terms of client repeat clients, clients recommending us. It's phenomenal, and the reviews that we get from that particular department is brilliant.
So that's private and commercial work?
No, that's residential. Residential. Years ago, we used to have a private client, which is where I am. Residential and commercial were all one department. Probably about 4 years ago, we split them. So it's now residential. We've got a brilliant commercial team, smaller, but they're growing as well. That's where Greg is, and Kate Bullen. And I'm in the private client team. It was very hard for me because my passion is conveyancing. I get adrenaline off conveyancing. And if anyone's listening to this podcast, you'll know what I mean if you're a conveyancer. You either love it or hate it. And I loved it. I just got the adrenaline. But you can't run a business and have a really fast turnover of conveyancing clients. So I moved over to the private client team and built that up. A slower pace, but the clients are lovely. They're so much different.
Just for those who don't know, explain what you mean by private client.
So that's preparing for not later on in life actually, it's preparing your wills, lasting powers of attorney in case of mental incapacity. If you have lost capacity, it's court protection applications. And then obviously, unfortunately, when a person's passed away, helping the families with probate, etc. And then we have a dispute team. So we used to call it civil litigation. No one knew what that meant.
That's where all the juicy stories come from.
Apparently. Private client have juicy stories.
I can imagine,
But yes, so we call it dispute resolution because it's about resolving problems rather than creating them. And we've got a new person starting on Monday called Trish French.
Any relation?
Yes, it could well be.
A very proud moment for you.
Yes. I've wanted Trish to start with us for many years, but the doors have never been aligned, and it's the right time for both AFG and for Trish to come to work for us. So she's been brought in to draft up and build that team. That's really exciting.
How's Greg going to feel about that?
Yeah, I didn't ask him actually. I did, but probably a second, and then I took over and spoke to Trish myself. My husband told me off at one point, said, do not bypass Greg at this point. Just wait, and then...
She shouldn't walk through the door and it be a surprise.
No.
So how do you do any commercial work?
Yes, so that's where Greg is, Kate. So they do commercial property, yes.
Okay, brilliant.
They're all smaller teams. The conveyancing team, the residential team is the biggest team. But the focus for the next few years is, how can I forget? Family team as well. So obviously it's now private client.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot of prenups, post-nups, separation agreements, drawing up cohabitation agreements.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to a shareholders agreement. If you've got everything documented, just because it's a different kind of relationship, doesn't matter. They do fall down. And if you've got everything documented, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah. You've gone from 30 to 90 to 60 odd, and you said you've consolidated and restructured so you can grow again.
Yes.
So what are the plans for the future? Because you've grown, is it been completely organically so far?
No, a bit both. So it's hard, and I think that's one of the challenges. A lot of firms, not only AFG, not only law firms, I listen to every kind of industry, how to attract the right people. And they've got to fit in with your business as well. So you can have an absolutely amazing lawyer, but they don't fit in with your business. That's been challenging. And you've got to be careful with that kind of appointment. As I say, they've got to fit in. So organically, we do a bit of both. So we bring people in. Obviously, we've got a lot of adverts going out at the moment for new lawyers. But at the same time, we've been, look at me, I'm a prime example of bringing people through their careers in-house.
Because over the last few years, there's been a lot of consolidation in the law industry and the law sector, and roll-ups of various types of businesses coming together. Are you on the acquisition trail, or is that not something that you've looked at?
We looked at that. That's always in my mind. I'm always looking out for other businesses, and I have to be told to just rein it in. You've got to work on what you've got and grow rather than...
It's really interesting. We're talking to some colleagues of ours, and one of the things that comes out quite often in conversation is that when you're looking to grow your business, sometimes it's actually cheaper to go out and acquire another business and their customer base than it is to go and buy those customers yourselves through all the marketing activity that you do.
And it can go terribly wrong.
It can, yes, but that's no reason to never look at it.
No, that's right.
And then you've also got the opportunity to buy additional team members from another business as well.
Course.
So if you're buying a business, you're buying their team and you're buying their customer base and their reputation and their culture. So there's lots of things that are challenging in terms of integrating another business into your business. But there's some stats being done in traditional businesses where it can be up to 7 times less expensive to go out and acquire another company than it can to actually go out and do the marketing that you need to do to buy the number of customers and grow your business by the same extent that they've got their business. So from a purely financial viewpoint, it can be really beneficial to go out and go on the acquisition trail.
Never say never.
The challenges to that, obviously, are in culture and integration of the people into the business. So when you say things can go terribly wrong, it's normally those sort of things, and companies not doing proper due diligence on that.
Of course.
And I've seen it. I've worked with other professional services firms in the accountancy business where they've been a forward-thinking, openly communicating, very corporately structured business, and they've bought a couple of small family businesses where the culture is completely different. So you end up with somebody who would always be in at 8:30, and as the leader and manager of a team would always be there first and would show the way. And in these small family firms, the partners would come in when they feel like it and just do what they need to do and keep the staff happy. Completely different culture, and all of a sudden they're in this bigger organisation with a completely different culture, and they're like, yeah, I'll just come in when I feel like it, and that doesn't fit.
No.
So you've got to be careful from that viewpoint. So when you say it can go terribly wrong, I assume those are the sort of things that you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be a challenge. So what are your plans for the growth of the business then? What's happening for you and Greg moving forwards with the business?
So we've got our plans for this year, and we're working on our plans for next year. We've always done a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
And for the last few years, things have prevented us from moving forward with those for one reason or another that have been outside our control. And so I think for the time being, we've decided we're going to do year by year and look at what we've got and scale up slowly, very slowly, rather than go from one extreme to the other, which is what we did very quickly.
Yeah.
And be very selective.
So when you say you went from one extreme to the other, did you grow from 30 to 90 really quickly?
Yeah, I would say so. When we took over, it was probably 40, 45, and then we went up to 90 very quickly.
Right. So a lot of new people in your business.
A lot of new people. And coming and going in the meantime as well.
Yeah. So in terms of the people that you've got, obviously you care deeply about the people that you've got. How do you deal with growth within the team? Because one of the things you said is bringing people on through the business as well as bringing people in from outside.
Yes.
There are obviously some core skills from a law perspective.
Right.
There are things that they have to know and have to do from a core skills perspective, and there's lots of different routes for them to learn. What about the things away from their core knowledge and abilities that you need as a legal secretary, as a lawyer, or in any particular area, and soft skills and development as people, communication skills, and all the various leadership management, all those things? How do you deal with those within the business?
Sure. Let me think. So the majority of the people within our company are law-based.
Yeah.
So the softer skills, we tend to do that on the job.
Yeah.
There is no sort of set course that we send them on. When you're training to be a lawyer, they do some softer skills as optionals, and we encourage them to do that rather than the other law sectors that they can go on, like confidence training, how to deal with difficult clients.
Yeah.
But the younger generation, they tend to have that built into their apprenticeship. I'm one of the mentors for a couple of them in my department, and it's been an eye-opener for me of what they actually do teach them on the softer skills. What made me laugh is both of them, you have to score yourself on an apprenticeship. And so they scored themselves 90 out of 100. And then we did it together, and they were a 10. But I explained why they were a 10. And they understood why they were a 10. But every time we met, they could see the development growing from a different point of view.
Yeah.
But it's more in-house.
Yeah.
When it comes to leadership training, we do need that in AFG.
Yeah.
We've always looked at that. I've never had it apart from Bolton College came to approach us probably about 10 years ago, if not longer. And we identified people that we would want to progress.
Yeah.
And they did a bespoke course for us. We all passed. It was very intense, actually. We all had to go back to doing essays. And we all got certificates, apart from Greg. I'm really sorry, you've still not got your certificate. I lost it. It's a running joke. But we do need it still, because you can see that's a gap in the market. Certainly in our firm, we've got even directors now that have probably had no leadership training that we need them to have.
I think it's interesting because, again, there's some research done, and you know what they say about statistics. But they reckon there's about 60 to 70% of people who are in charge of teams who have had no formal management or leadership training, what they class as accidental managers. And what often happens is they're the best person in their team at whatever they do.
That's right.
And the way they get rewarded is to be made a manager and put in charge of a team. And I've been in a situation where I was in a sales team and somebody was promoted. The best person in the team by far was promoted to be our manager. He had no people skills and no leadership skills. And 3 people in the team ended up leaving.
Wow.
He got cheesed off because he'd had to hand over some of his clients. And eventually he left and joined another business after wrecking the sales team.
Wow.
And that's a fairly sort of radical case.
Yeah.
But examples of that all the time where people want to progress within a business and their only route for progression is to become a manager. They made a manager before they've got the skills to be a manager. You wouldn't make somebody a lawyer before they got the skills to be a lawyer, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
So I find it fascinating. So it's really good that you've recognised that there's some opportunities there. So let's think about you and your future then.
Okay.
What's on the horizon for you? Are you in your happy place, do you think, now as MD of AFG?
Yes. Again, years and years ago, even when Michael was a senior partner, I thought, I want to be there. I want to make a difference. there was many a time, I've probably left in my head 4 times AFG.
Really?
I've probably handed my notice in twice. The first time I was told to hand my notice in by my manager because that's the only way you'll get a pay rise. That's back
Did it
in
work?
the 19... It worked. But again, I said
Caitlin,
to myself...
that might not work now, by the way. So,
But I said to myself, we need to change that. And both Greg and I said it needs to be on a yearly review, and people should know that it's a yearly review, not that you hand your notice in to get a pay rise. Yeah. And then the other time was because I could see so many things I wanted to change, and it wasn't being done. And the 2 managers at that time, 2 partners, sat me down and said, what do we need to do to change? I said, I'd really like you to listen to me. I've really got some good ideas. I know I'm not qualified yet. I want to be a partner, but your people are not paid enough. There's no progression. There's this and this. And they went away and they came back and said, that's really good. We really want you to say, we'll have an open door policy with you. We'll listen to you. And they said to me, you never asked for anything for yourself. I said, it wasn't about me. It's about AFG and where I believe in this company. Yeah. So I stayed. And obviously, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, obviously. What would you say I have a lot of conversations with younger people now who are struggling to get a job. They've maybe been to college, they've been to uni, or maybe not to uni yet. But it seems to be an employer's market for a lot of people. And even with qualifications, they struggle into a job. What would you say to young people who are maybe looking at AFG as a potential employer? What kind of people are you looking for? Not necessarily skills, but what kind of people are you looking for?
Someone, a clone of me. A clone of me, clone of Greg. No, it's someone that that's got that drive, that wants to make a difference, that wants to help the firm succeed, that wants to be the person that they want to work for us, not that we've got to beg them to come and work for us.
Yeah.
And even though you've just said it's hard for them to get on the ladder, I don't know where they all are. And I talk to other people in other law firms and they're the same. It's really hard to get the right people. I don't know if it's because there's so many programmes on the telly showing you what law firms should be like, and it's not like that. It's really hard work.
Yeah.
Even to do your qualifications, people think we make it look easy. It's not easy. And you've got to give it your all.
Yeah.
So it's someone that's got that drive, that stamina, that won't fall at the first hurdle. So if you fail, get back up and try again. Because there's a lot of generation that can just quit at the first hurdle.
Yeah, I think we often talk to people about recruit on attitude, not on skill. There are obviously some skills that you need to test. Whatever role they're coming into, you need to test their hard skills and their knowledge. But recruit on attitude, people, normally when you're looking at somebody and you have to help somebody to leave the business, it's not normally because of a lack of skill, it's because of a crappy attitude that they've shown over multiple occasions. So having a system, a recruitment system that helps you to recruit an attitude first and skills second is so important. We always use an excerpt from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and there's talks about a young chap who's in a business and he's always there last, he's always in first, he's always asking to help with things, and he's got that go the extra mile attitude and go above and beyond call of duty attitude. And that's what, if you can demonstrate that as a young person when you're applying for a job, I think that's so important.
Absolutely. Nowadays. And at the same time, we do say well-being and the work. We're not expecting people to work stupid hours, but it's just that little bit extra that you're not out the door at 5 o'clock. You're actually, you take pride in finishing that task off and then going, rather than, out the door.
And I suppose the other side of the coin is AFG and other businesses have got to demonstrate their desire to have people come in and work for them, and ESG policies and culture statements, all those kind of things are really important to potential employees nowadays when they're looking for a job. Quite often when I talk to people, they'll say, I looked at that company's ESG policy and the social values and culture, and I don't think I was a good fit for them. I'd have never thought about that when I was growing up.
To be fair, that's one of the questions that we get asked in interviewed. What's your culture like? How did it come about?
Yeah.
We've always had a really good culture, but we've never written it down. So when we had a Lexel audit, I think it was last year, the year before. We have one every year, but this particular year, she said, "Do you realise what you've got out there? It is fantastic. The amount of people and the words that they've said about this firm is phenomenal." And obviously she wrote the report down. She said, honestly, pat on the back, you and Greg, you've done really well. So when we saw the report, I said, we need to pull out those words. So we sat round the room, the directors, and I pulled out all the phenomenal words and I posted them all round the room, and we put everything into our sort of culture.
Yeah.
And we did a business day on it. And I said, it's all your words.
Yeah.
It's not our words.
No.
You've given it to us.
I think that's brilliant. We often talk to people, and I'll say to people, look, I'll come into your business, I'll walk around for a bit, and I'll be able to tell you what your culture is, because it's not what's written on the wall.
No.
It's not what's on your culture statement.
No.
It's the behaviours that are exhibited every day by people. That's your culture.
Yes.
And sometimes people will do a culture review, they'll stick 3 or 4 statements up on a wall, and then they expect people just to follow them. We've changed the culture, that's the new culture, get on with it.
Yeah.
And it can be never be further from the truth. I've walked in and said, can you just tell me what your culture statement is? And they'll go, I've got no idea. So I think a lot of businesses have got a lot of work to do with that. So
I'm sure
that's
we
so
have
important.
still.
Yeah.
It's evolving, isn't it?
Yeah. We often ask people this, if you had some advice for your younger self, or for a younger person who's thinking about going into business for themselves, what would be the best piece of advice that you'd offer to yourself?
Looking back, I would say listen. And it's very important, listen. You think you listen, but you don't listen. So listen. Trust is a big one as well. Trust the people around you and have the right people around you as well.
Yeah.
I was the president of the Bolton Law Society. They asked me a few years ago. Yeah. They asked me years and years ago, and it wasn't the right time. I didn't have the confidence. Wasn't in my career at the right time. So when they did ask me the second time, I said, actually, I'm ready to do it. But I said, I've got one condition as well, that I'm in it for 2 terms, because 1 term is not enough for me to make a difference, because you just get going and then you're gone.
How long's 1 term?
12 months.
Right.
So they changed the constitution, and I met with everybody that I could. I made sure I met everybody in Bolton law firms to get them on board. And one of my speeches was, have you got any regrets in your life, Anita? And I said, I haven't got any, and I don't want any either. But I have made a lot of mistakes, and it's what you do with those mistakes. And it's learn from the mistakes. And I've also said, don't beat yourself up about what happens, because it's going to happen no matter what. It's what you do moving forward, and still get back up and move forward.
Yeah, I always say exactly the same thing. The sign of the quality of the person isn't in the mistakes the way they make or what happens to them. It's about their reaction and how they move forwards from that.
It might be devastating at the time, but you've got to think, I'm even sat here today, I wouldn't be sat here today if it wasn't for what has happened in the past.
We are the sum total of our life's experiences, aren't we?
Yeah.
Everything that happens to us, good, bad and ugly, makes us the person that we are.
Yeah, definitely.
And in terms of your own growth and learning and development, are there any particular people that you follow, podcasts, books that you would read outside of law books around, I don't know, business or mindset or anything really around?
A couple of things. So my daughter, when she left college, she wanted to do international business management.
Yep.
So I read a lot of her books. Helped her with
because they were there.
Yeah. Helped her with her essays, etc.
Yeah.
So that was good for me. I also did a HR course, the CIPD course, level 3. that was an eye-opener. Greg, again, we've talked about the washing machine a lot.
Yeah.
The cycle, getting out of the cycle.
Yeah.
So I've got that experience. In terms of books, I've got one at the moment, actually. I can't remember what it's called. About the different colours of leadership.
Right.
Red, green, yellow, blue. Oh, my word. And I think I'm a red.
Really?
And I have to realise when I'm sending emails out that I am a red and I have to be a yellow. So you learn things from those kind of...
We use, I'm a DISC certified trainer, and DISC is a behavioural personality profiling tool that helps us with communication skills, but there are 4 quadrants. Red is D, direct, those kind of things, quick decision making, task orientated, doesn't want loads of fluff, just wants the highlights, get on with it. I's are the life and souls of the party, the ones who love a good conversation, like to be in the middle of the conversation though. Greens are the S's, team-oriented people, care deeply about how other people react to what they say and do, and the impact that whatever happens has on other people. And the C's are the really deep thinkers, the real detail-oriented people, maybe slower pace than the fast pace. They want time to think about things before they make a decision. And it can be a real sort of benefit to understanding your own profile and the profiles of the other people in your organisation that you communicate with, and those outside as well. Because if you can adapt the way that you communicate with people a little bit, it can have a profound effect on the quality and productivity of the communication that you have. So we do loads of work around that with people. It's really interesting. So any other books or anything that you'd refer people to?
No.
No?
No.
If somebody was maybe considering law as a career, what would you say to them?
What I said earlier, they've got to really take on board the commitment of the study time, because it isn't easy. As long as you get through that, it can be a very enjoyable job.
Yeah.
Like I said before, my passion was conveyancing. You love it or hate it. And you've got to enjoy your job. You're in it for the majority of the time.
Yeah.
So I would say commitment, and understand that there's a lot of hard work, and I can't emphasise it enough, because we do make it look easy.
It's not an easy route, is it?
It's not an easy route, no.
But the rewards are great. So if people want to find out more about AFG, where do we find you?
On our website, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn.
You're everywhere.
Oh, absolutely everywhere.
I've got the links, so we'll put all the links into the show notes.
Yes.
Anita, it's been a real pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.